All right. This is take two of the live. Um, check, check. I'm trying to make sure you guys can hear me. Um, peace, peace, beautiful people. It is I, your friendly neighborhood, Ema X. Back with a new moon reading. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. But sometimes it bees like that. But we are back in full effect. I hope everybody has been having a wonderful day, a wonderful time. Just finding life to be very chill right now, as it should be. I hope everybody is enjoying these full moon energies, basking in those. You know what I'm saying? It's a really beautiful time. But without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and get into it. Um, yeah, so it's still lagging a little bit over here. But I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to rock with it. So, and I apologize if it's lagging for you guys between the vocals and the video. It's super annoying and should not be happening in a world where, I have a computer and I pay for high speed internet, but I'm just going to take that as certain energies don't necessarily want these messages to be known or understood kind of in their full capacities. Um, but as we step into these new moon energies, we want to be mindful of the fact that Taurus season is about grounding and Scorpio season is about transformation. And the reason that they're opposite signs is because those seem really counterintuitive. Um, you start thinking about the energy of grounding. It is very much an energy of staying power, is what Taurus represents. It represents, that willpower that says, I'm going to dig in my heels and I shall not be moved. Like I shall not be turned from this perspective, from this point of view that I essentially have. And sorry, I was just having a thought about whether I should do this on the video instead of doing it on the live, but I'm just gonna rock out. Um, Step out on faith with it. So essentially, uh, yeah, Taurus is all about the energy of grounding, whereas water is very much the opposite of land. It is the two dichotomies of habitat on this planet. It's the starkest dichotomy of habitat, because oceans are also, I would say, diametrically opposed to deserts. Like, as far as land, deserts are probably the most opposite of water and the ocean. But all of land has a level of solidity, whereas water has a degree of flow, which is why rivers cut through land and they have this very harmonic symbiotic relationship, which is why at the end of the day, if you choose to utilize these energies for the highest and greatest good, it can be very transformative in a very grounding and positive way. You can make a change, and you can take a step in a direction that you wouldn't normally expect, but it's going to be a solid step. It's going to be, like, and you guys serve and it was like, and they did that. Like, it's going to be a step like that. And so essentially the universe is very much letting this be a choose your own adventure novel. It is in general on this planet, but specifically at certain energy focal points, you have the power to make profound, drastic changes without necessarily a lot of friction. And this is one of those points in reality. So if you have something in your mind or on your heart, or in any of your chakra points that hasn't really been meshing well, this would be a time to make changes or improvements to it, and you wouldn't encounter a lot of friction or a lot of pushback within this space time. So I will give you a perfect example. We all know that, like, I don't know if we all know, but I know that presidents used to have astrologers. Like, Reagan was the one who was most known about. I guess he was like just out with it because it was like, oh, Hollywood actor Reagan with his woo woo actor ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they were very much like, bro has an astrologer. But you know who needs an astrologer? Donald Trump. I mean, some things have been said about who he has in the employ, but like he needs at least one witchy girly on his roster. He would not be handling things the way that he is if he did have somebody who was tapped in, because what being tapped in allows is for you to utilize the energies in a certain way. Now the governor and the government of New Orleans definitely is tapped in. Everybody down here does some form of juju. You know what I'm saying? Like it's inherent. It's integral. It's integral and intricate within the system. And so they're taking advantage of this time. They're taking advantage of this time to make a drastic change in the court system that at once disenfranchises somebody that they did not want in office because they do not actually want change. And so, like, this is a perfect example because it leads me into my next point. Because, and the reason I put this video under news and politics instead of people and blogs, which is when they tried to put it, because I talk about tarot and intuitive messages and so forth. But really, we need to be integrating them like Reagan. Like, you know what I'm saying, we need to be taking the mundane and the fantastic and the magical and kind of combining them in a way like DNA strands that kind of interweave them, that kind of allow us to apply and you make the most of certain magical things to affect certain mundane tasks. So if you're into that type of thing, this is exactly the channel for you. By and large, the pushing back of the Voting Rights Act is very much in line with the times. It's like, oh, change, and no longer accepting things that you don't want to accept. And I'm sorry to break it to people. This might be a tough pill to swallow, but the United States has never really been too much for like respecting Black people or their rights. Like, we were brought over here as enslaved individuals, and so they have very little they have a very high difficulty looking at us as anything besides that. And so this voting rights pushback is by in no way a large surprise. It has everything to do with the energies that are going on, because most people think of voting as like their grounding within this system. It's like people fought hard, like whether it is the women's suffrage movement, whether it is whether it's the women's suffrage movement, whether it is Black people fighting for civil rights, whether it is lower class men, when, like there was a point in time where only property owning white men had the right to vote. So there's a point in time where kind of everybody has had to fight for your right to party and also to vote and the party. Yeah, political party. You had to fight for your right to political party. But we get to this impasse where people get that right, and some people are able to make it do what it do. Shout out to lower class white men, even though they are still in the position that they're in. But I say that to say that voting rights are kind of like a participation trophy. It's kind of like this situation where you feel like you're included. Like, I got a trophy just like everybody else, but like I got a voting sticker. They even give out nigga stickers now, like good nigga stickers. Like, they even get out stickers now to be like, I voted, so you can go around and everybody can be like, oh my gosh, look at you participating in the political process. And like, bless its heart, because our ancestors had no way of knowing. Like, that was like, how we talk about when people move the benchmark, when people move, the benchmark is essentially this like thing of like they'll set like a standard, and then you'll meet that standard and they'll be like, oh, that standard's not good enough anymore, and it keeps resetting. uh and so that's very much like one of those things where the benchmark was previously like, oh, like we just want to be able to vote, and then but like people are seeing now, after years and years of trying, like after multiple generations of trying with the vote, that the vote does not translate necessarily to what we thought it did, the thing that inherently would represent change on a big enough scale as to be profitable. Not even profitable, but like, what's the word that I'm looking for? Worth the time and effort, worth the time and effort, to be worthy of the blood, sweat, and tears that our ancestors have poured into it. And so as we step into these full moon energies, as we step into these Taurus Scorpio energies, we really want to be mindful of the fact that change is a fundamental fact of reality, but it's how you handle that particular change. It's how you navigate it within yourself, that is specifically important. And I'm sorry, I keep getting discouraged by the fact that I know there's a lag. So I am unsure of how it is being received by you guys. And this is very good information. So, on one level, as a custodian and a steward of a divine channel, I want to make sure that I am, kind of reaching you guys in the maximum output, like reaching as many people as I can. But I also want to be mindful of the flow. So with that being said, I'm just going to jump right back into it. So as far as the voting rights, people have been doing the same thing for many moons and not, experiencing much change in their actual circumstance. And so we have a choice at this point, at this critical juncture of cosmic energy, when the Pluto is the sign of transformation, is in Aquarius, which is probably its most radical placement, because Aquarius do not give a they don't. Aquarius energy has never given a single solitary F about you, your opinion, anybody else, their opinion, anything. That's why it's the opposite of Leo. Like, I love the sister signs because it shows a lesson in dichotomy that people don't really understand, how signs can embody the exact same energy but in completely different polarities. Like, Aquarius nor Leo cares what anybody outside themselves really thinks. But Aquarius does it in this way where they are not centered, whereas Leo does it in this capacity where it's like, it's all about me. And Aquarius is like, it's not all about me, but it's also not all about you. And so it's like this checking of the ego versus this indulgence of the ego. And so it's really, really interesting. And shout out to everybody who has been hopping on the live. I apologize sincerely if it's lagging. I am going to find a solution to my charger situation, even though I'm sure at least 30% of it is just planned obsolescence from Apple and being like, don't you want to get a new phone? Don't you? And I'm like, no, nigga, I don't actually want to get a new phone. But yeah, we'll figure out this streaming thing. If it's choppy, please let me know in the chat. Like, if it's not synced up with the words, if it's like syncopated, let me know, give me some feedback. But as we are stepping into these energies, are you guys tired yet? Are you guys done? Are you guys tired of like accepting the bare minimum. Like I was having a conversation, not a conversation, I was, messaging someone or commenting on a post and they were commenting back. But it was an interface where an individual was talking about, like, oh, the challenge to the Voting Rights Act. And I was just like, are we done? Like, and I just had this mindset that's like, when everybody stops begging for crumbs, the world will be a much better place. Like, like British, like Anglo-Saxon imperialistic, uh patriotic, paternalistic, uh anti-nature, pro-metal machine society has built this reality where it's very oh man, I went so deep in describing it that I forgot my initial point. But essentially, we've gotten to this point where change is necessary on multiple fronts, and it's just about, are we going to be willing to take the necessary changes and take the necessary steps to change, or are we just going to sit and complain? Are we just going to sit and talk about all of the ways that life is unfair? Shout out to the Malcolm in the Middle reboot. But like, are we just going to sit and talk about all the ways that life is unfair? Are we just going to sit and talk about the ways that the system is failing us and that we are not represented, that we're not served? Or are we going to step into energies where we actually take time to integrate, and when we actually take time